Hey, Andrew.
Yes, Stephen?
You know how we romanticize the days of going out to our local video store and sifting through endless amounts of movies, searching for our favorite films, and maybe even finding some hidden gems?
Oh yes, I know it all too well. That used to be my favorite thing to do. Unfortunately, everything is online now.
Well, what if I told you that there was a place online where you could get some of them same thrills as going to the video store?
Are you talking about Orbit DVD?
I knew you knew what I was talking about. Orbit DVD is located in Asheville, North Carolina, and online with OrbitDVD.com, they bring you everything your physical media heart desires.
Yeah, they have an awesome website that stays up to date with the latest releases from all of your favorite boutique labels as well as studio releases. Not only do they carry American labels such as Criterion Collection, Severin Films, Vinegar Syndrome, and Warner Archive, but they get routine shipments on imports from companies such as 88 Films, Arrow Video, Imprint, and so much more.
And with the option to sell or trade your used copies for cash or store credit, they really bring that video store vibe to you. So go to OrbitDVD.com and stock up on your Blu-rays.
And tell them Chasing Labels sent you.
Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Stephen. Doing good. Glad to be back, as always, to talk nothing but movies. That's my whole life.
That's all you do?
Without movies, I don't know what I'd be talking about.
I don't know.
Nothing.
Probably, what's something cool in Rhode Island?
Nothing.
Oh, so you'd be talking about...
As our guest can attend to
the
when
sign...
we introduce him. That's why he got the hell out of here.
Yeah, the sign that says you are now leaving Rhode Island is pretty awesome.
But let's introduce our guest for spy number 72.
Well, you know him, guys. He's been on 3 times.
Right.
He is the post-production supervisor over at Severin Films, and that is Andrew Furtado. How you doing, man?
I'm all right. Thank you guys so much for having me on again.
Yeah, it's been I think about a year since the last time. I think.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was 3 times already. I thought this was the 3rd time, but
maybe it is.
Either way, I'm a familiar face.
This is part 4.
That's what I thought.
We've gone past the trilogy.
Yeah.
Now we're into like uncharted territory.
The thing is it's been so fast that this is our 2nd year doing this podcast. So that's what's crazy for me is that this year of the podcast has went by so fast. And we brought you on, I think, the 3 times in the first year we did it. And then this year we hadn't had you on yet. So it's like,
yeah, now you've had better guests.
Of course, better.
I'm like,
of course.
Yeah.
No,
thanks so much for the confidence boost.
You know how look.
No pressure,
at least we're calling you by your name now.
Yeah, not just Andrew 2.
Yeah. I mean, we're building up to it, man.
Boogaloo.
We're building up to it. I want you to always feel like you have something more to strive for when you come on here.
Yeah.
So
that's called negging.
Step up your game.
But so how's everything been going? Severin's having another great year, man. I mean, I actually have in the mail coming tomorrow the House of Psychotic Women. That's the set. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got that coming tomorrow.
It's been a great year. There's a lot of stuff that's come out that has been long time in the works, and like the Steckler set and House of Psychotic Women, in a weird way, took a long time for how quickly that set came together. And there's a lot more to come, even still with only, the Black Friday sale just a month away.
Yeah.
I think we have 7 titles. I think planning. Maybe more. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is that, and then next year we're planning to start with a big boom. For those of you who enjoyed Nasty New Year last year, don't think we'll stop.
Yeah.
If you're having a good time, if you're trying to repeat exactly the same success we had last year, with hopefully less box sets, but at the same time more box sets. So it's very confusing.
I was just gonna say this year has been very box set heavy for Severin.
They've been. I mean, first off, very fun and different to put together because of the amount of work that goes into them, the range in titles, the complete Steckler said again, even the House of Psychotic Women, there's a mixture of titles in there where you can have something a little more comedy heavy, something a little more drama, something a little more sci-fi, something a little weird, and that variety is what keeps it fresh and exciting, and I think that's what keeps people interested in at least trying the sets. And as you guys have said on the show before, if it's, all those movies at once, you've just completed an entire filmography with one purchase. So, it's worth at least giving it a shot. I mean, why else would I own the Bill Rabin set if it wasn't to try to complete a filmography?
I was thinking about the other day. I was like, I got to get all my underground exploitation filmmaker sets that I have and put them all in one good picture, because I have them Arrow sets, and then I have your trilogy of sets now with your Andy Milligan and Ray Dennis Steckler and sorry, I'm blanking on the third one.
Al Adamson.
Al Adamson. Yep, I have all three of them.
Steven, do you have the Nasty Habits set?
Yes, I do have the Nunsploitation set. Yep, got that one too.
Nice.
He only pulls it out on Sunday.
Just on Sundays when I get home from work, and I want to do my worship, and then I watch the same 4 movies, just back. But
we all worship at the Church of Cinema.
Yeah,
of course, every day.
The cool thing is being a fan of this kind of stuff as well from all the labels. We're in Facebook groups and forums and stuff where you can see people posting, and we've been working really hard at helping bring back some of that trust and loyalty that we've lost, over the years, with issues and stuff like that. And we've been really, really the last few years pushing ourselves to really win back that, and not just win it back, earn back that respect and that kind of label of being one of the memes, one of the logos in the memes of people getting beaten up because we're taking all their money. We want to earn that respect. And this is the first year I felt like, since I've been working there, that it feels as close as it's ever been, back to what it was. And so I'm really honored to be part of that in some small way.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I know there was for a while there was some issues with the sleeves, and I think you fixed that. The sleeves being a little tight, and so I think you fixed that issue. And then recently with your last sale, you had the website upgrade. Which how did that all work out?
So that the big thing was we were able to switch over to Shopify, which is a huge thing, because what we were using, I can't remember what it was called, but I noticed other companies using it as well because they had the same error. And then I would talk to them. It was WooCommerce. That was the name of it. And WooCommerce is a WordPress situation, which is frustrating because WordPress this is the most we're on a Blu-ray podcast, and I'm thinking this is the nerdiest thing we're going to talk about today. Long story short, switching e-commerce sites, the reason we weren't allowed on Shopify for a long time, and thanks to Amanda and Jason Duran at the warehouse, they worked a relationship and were able to get us back on there, because we were selling scandalous titles. You know what I mean? So they're pretty strict, and so we worked a deal to kind of get back on there and curb how we present those titles. You know what I mean? Yeah. As opposed to just having boobs on the website.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy with how the website's been. Both Amanda and Jason also kind of spearheaded the whole web development and building the new site, and I'm very happy that they took the whole company. We all had a meeting, and we pointed to some of our favorite websites of what we like about this website, what we like about that. And, it's still a growing process, but to be where we are now versus where we were is, night and day. I still fight for the 504 error website t-shirt. I still think that would be amazing, but
yeah. Well, I mean, you guys put out some of the best extra stuff, probably the best of any kind of extra merch out there of any labels. So I mean, go for it, man. I think you should put that on one of the in the merch store, and along with the Dick Demon statue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I always keep mine right beside me here on the desk, just for
I sent
luck.
my brother a Dick Demon because he's a big D&D fan. I'm like, be a big D&D Dick Demon fan.
Say that 5 times fast, people.
Yeah. It's like when we used to wear the WWJD bracelets back when we were kids.
I don't know
what would Jesus do bracelets. Like what would the Dick Demon do bracelets? That's what we need.
He'd rip your dick off. That's what he'd do.
When in doubt, I guess.
Yeah. But that's great, man. I mean, I've had great experience over there so far. I like how it's all functioning, and now we got the next sale coming up. So I think you've told me offline like something that's going to be on there, and it's exciting. You've at least hinted it to me.
I can't talk about it.
Well,
at all.
You didn't tell me exactly what it was, but you told me something that you told me a director. That's all you told me.
It's exciting. I'm assuming it's an exciting thing.
It is. It's a good one.
People are going to be happy about it.
I'm hoping so because it's scary for a lot of reasons. Yeah, no, well, we can't talk about it too much for many reasons.
Sure.
But
right. I'm assuming it's going to be revealed sooner rather than later because Black Friday is right around the corner, so we'll be getting inundated with a bunch of Severin.
Next month will be a Severin month.
Teasers and announcements.
Yeah. There's
going to be teasers and announcements.
Yeah, and when does this come out?
The next couple days, today, tomorrow, or the next day.
Well, okay, I can't say exactly everything yet because we haven't announced it, but those who have enjoyed going to the LA Super Shock pop-up film festivals over the past few years, where we treat it kind of like our Apple Summit, where we just announce our titles, in tandem and screen 2 of the Black Friday titles that will be coming back this year. So if you are in LA and you want to come, just keep your eyes on our socials, and we'll be posting about that soon. So
I do see that often that you guys do pop up at like conventions and
we
film
pop up. We
festivals
do
and stuff
special
like
films. Yeah, we do special screenings. We just had our new element for Action Mutante premiered at a film festival over the summer, and it's Alex and David were just in Spain together at Sitges, and they were talking about it, and he was sending me pictures of this amazing pop-up museum that was there that had storyboards from Action Mutante. It had the devil Ash from Day of the Beast and all this other cool shit, and I was just like, oh man. It had the desk of Sarador, the guy who wrote and created Tales to Keep You Awake at Night. It was so cool. It felt like, I'm like, this is just a Severin pop-up that we didn't pay for.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it feels really awesome to be bringing so much unique Spanish filmmaking out into the forefront, because there's been a few really cool releases, but not as many as you would hope. And one of the Black Friday titles, the reason it was so difficult was because of music reasons. There was a thing we'll go into the podcast once we announce the title, but it was a bit scary because So we'll talk about it later. But
Now you probably can't say anything, but is there any more Eloy de la Iglesia coming? Do we know?
Eloy Iglesia?
Yeah,
I can't confirm or deny, but
yes. Come on, Steve. What are you
I don't know. You got to see what happened.
Not during Black Friday, but there will be. I know of one very unforgettable scene that I've seen for work that will be showing up.
Thank God, because I'm becoming a huge fan of his. I actually been wanting to put together a spotlight video on all the releases that have come out for him recently. So I might
he's been really. I remember when we accidentally got a screener of Pals. They sent it to us on accident, and I didn't even have subtitles, and I watched it and I was like, this is just such great filmmaking, and he really was a talent, and it's a shame that he passed away. But man, the next we have more Eloy.
Look, you're not telling me when, but it's coming at some point. Yeah, that's excited. All right, so now let's go into our normal show. We are gonna come back around. We got a special topic for this episode, and this is one Andrew brought to me. And I was somewhat familiar of this kind of section of cinema, but we're gonna be talking about kind of Hong Kong exploitation, aka Category 3 films. And Andrew, tell just a little teaser about what that is.
I have to say, Category 3, it's like saying what's your favorite rated R films, because Category 3, the censorship over in Hong Kong and China is very different than ours, and so I find so much of it fascinating, and I wanted to deliver some really fun research that I've pulled up, talking about the history of censorship, and I also, being a Blu-ray show, I wanted to talk about some of the best Category 3 out there, including some titles that I would love to see get released. But there's a whole fun world, and I don't know if it's ever going to get released, but I did an hour and a half long verbal dissertation about vomit in cinema. So
Nice.
So
that was your thesis.
That was my thesis for the Movie Toast podcast, I believe it was, Film Toast or Movie Toast with Michael Keane, and I don't think it's ever made it to air. So if it doesn't happen, then I got an hour and a half I could do somewhere else. But so I didn't go that in depth on this, but I really wanted to talk about some great shit that I found, including why Shaw Brothers have sort of made the switch to doing ancient China as a setting for their films for a long period of time, and then going back and forth. I think that hopefully people find it as interesting as I do.
Awesome.
That is, I would say that is a very interesting observation, because thinking about all the Shaw Brothers stuff that we've covered here on the show, that is very true. They're always in like feudal
this
China.
is a teaser, Andrew Cabral.
I'm just saying.
I'm like ready to go into it.
Let's not get into Category 3
but I'm just saying,
yet.
you just brought up that fact, and I'm like, because I'm always bouncing in my head Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest, because when it comes to releases now, that it goes back and forth. So I'm like, we can get into a little bit of that later on. I'm just saying there is a period difference in terms of where their movies are set, and now that I think about it.
For actually a very interesting reason.
Yeah.
More on that later.
Yeah, yes. Nice. Yes. Thank you, Andrew Furtado. I can't even say your name anymore.
Furtado, that's why I'm Andrew too.
For Schneider.
That's why I'm Andrew too. You're right. Andrew Schneider.
That's why it's easier just to, I can't pronounce names. Even when I know them, I can't pronounce them. I speak, and I can't. I'm supposed to be able to speak to do this, but I can't speak. So I probably should just give up.
As a dyslexic, you are heard, and I understand your pain.
Yeah, thank you.
Very much so.
But mess up my name again, and I'll end you. No,
or I'll send a bomb in your mail.
He's gonna walk off. He's gonna walk off the podcast.
But nobody will. Can you hear this?
Yeah, basically
that's him. That's him on the horse.
Never see the light of day.
Leaving. But all right, so we're gonna get into Blu-ray announcements for the last week. Gotcha. So let's start with some one-off tidbits here. This one might have gotten brought up a little while back ago, but this is more detailed. Second Sight has kind of officially shown the artwork, new artwork, and the announcement for the film Boiling Point, which is a film from 2021, starring Stephen Graham. Yeah.
Underrated actor.
Yeah, and it's a great film. I this is why I think I'm pretty sure we've talked about it before, but I figure I'd bring it up real quick. It's a film, basically immersive film, one shot kind of style of a restaurant, like on like the worst day of the year, like just chaotic, just kind of getting less into the cooking of the food, but more into the business side and how chaotic. And then of course the main character kind of has some personal issues going on too along with that. So Andrew Furtado, have you seen Boiling Point?
I'm going to be honest. You sent me a list of titles that we're going to be talking about today. I haven't seen a lot of this stuff. So
it's okay. Me either. So that's why we have Andrew 1 here.
Yeah, Well, don't look at me to save you on this one because I have not seen this movie.
Well, I have, and it's good.
Okay,
yeah, it's
then.
good.
You're saving yourself.
Yeah, well, no, we're not talking about theme songs from CW shows. Somebody say, okay, I thought somebody was going to get Smallville reference, but fine, whatever.
How did you know I was in the middle of a Smallville rewatch?
Are you?
Just read my mind.
Wow, that's off topic, but okay.
Coincidence. Yeah, very off topic.
But
back to Boiling Point.
Boiling Point's great. Second Sight's got their, of course, great limited edition packaging on this.
I do like the packaging. It's got that. I don't know. I have an affinity for red and black color palettes, I guess, because they just look so cool together. They look dark and evil, I guess. I guess is the point.
Yeah, it looks pretty intense. It looks like a nice heat lamp.
It's nice.
Yeah, that's what it looks. Exactly what it looks like. But this is looks like one of their Second Sight kind of deluxe collector's editions.
It's literally every release they put out.
Yeah, pretty much at this point.
Every release is a deluxe release in that way.
And then they'll release a regular.
Both Second Sight and Arrow have really adopted the limited edition, booklet and stills or whatever, production and stills, and then the Blu-ray, which is great for collectors. But my God, my shelves have become so tight.
Oh yeah,
you can't see it, but the wall to my right is about to get a shelf put on it, like a custom shelf.
Good idea.
That is going to finally relieve all the stacks I have.
For how long, though?
I know.
It's just like it's like a Band-Aid. It's so
it's
temporary.
well, I have a baby now, so I say that I'm slowing down, but it's...
Bro, as someone who also just had a baby, I want you to know I just had to box up right here underneath. You can't see it. There's a box of titles that I'm putting in storage because I need to make room for more titles.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Because my shelves were overflowing. Having a kid doesn't mean... I watch maybe 1-2 movies a week now because...
Dude,
and in shifts.
And that's the tough thing too. You realize even if it's just you and the baby, you're never going to get to pay attention to the movie. Like half the time you sit there and you start watching something, and then the baby wants attention. You have to give it attention. Then you're not really ever watching the movie. I had movies on yesterday, and I was like, God, I'm gonna watch some stuff. And then I was like 15 minutes in. Next thing I know, and I'm like, oh, let me get you. Let me hold you. I've watched maybe like half the movie. It's gone. It's sad.
I mean, that's I watched full movies with no interruptions.
What?
But
how does that happen?
Just turn off your ears, bro.
Dude, I can't. I don't just. I mean, sure. I don't just pick up the baby every time she cries. I don't pick up the baby, but sometimes.
No, man. It's extremely difficult, and having a partner, who also is there helps. But obviously, the movies come second, and it takes me maybe two to 3 days. Like I watched Killer Clowns. It took me 2 shifts. I'm like, I want to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I did. But before then, I was watching a movie in anticipation to talk about Category 3.
Yeah,
and it took me since Wednesday just to get through it.
It's sad,
just because
man.
It's all subtitles. Yeah,
I know. But you're also getting a lot of your own Severin titles probably in the house too, right?
Yeah, I watch those at work. So my son has daycare, for a few hours, so I get to work there. But I also want to make sure that the house looks better. So it's a balance, man. It's a balance. And it's a balance that I'm going to be making for the next 15, 18 years. Whenever he decides he wants to go to college, who knows?
Yeah. Maybe
he's a genius.
Well, that's Baby Geniuses. I've seen the movie. I know it's a real thing.
Do you know who directed Baby Geniuses?
Oh, I did know at one point, but I'm forgetting. Go ahead and tell me.
He directed Bob Clark.
Yes, friend. Bob Clark, yes.
Bob Clark, creator of 2 holiday classics, also created and directed Baby Geniuses.
He's a legend. He's a legend. Yeah. But, all right. So getting back to Blu-ray announcements, Second Sight, Bowling Point, it's a great film, worth picking up. Next one off here, we got AGFA is apparently found a lost negative for the Dusty Nelson film Effects. So it is now getting a new 4K coming out. It looks like sometime early 2023. So I believe I watched this at some point. Andrew, Furtado, have you seen Effects?
This is an easy pickup for me because I haven't seen it. And just the amount of people behind it, where they were in their careers when it was made, that alone makes me excited to see not just a film I haven't seen in 4K, but also see something in an element that has been fucking gone. So that as someone who gets super excited when we find, like, I don't know if you saw the other day, I tweeted that I'm working on a Jess Franco movie, and I got to a part in the element where I went, oh fuck yeah. And I hate Jess Franco, and he made me go, oh fuck yeah. So being able to still discover things like this, it's huge. So hats off to Agfa for tracking it down and, utilizing it. That's so great.
Yeah. Let's clip out the part where he just said he hates Jess Franco so he can repeat it as many times to anybody who wants to.
Oh, I'll say it as many times as you need to.
I know it's a running thing.
I fucking hate him.
But Andrew Cabral, have you seen Effects?
I have not seen Effects. It just, the way that they're describing it here in this little description sounds like it's batshit crazy.
Well, it's got Tom Savini in it. It's got, I know he's involved. He's starring in the film.
Yeah. It says synopsis cobbled together with loose change by George Romero's friends. Effects is a mesmerizing do-it-yourself horror movie starring Tom Savini from makeup effects, and he was in Dawn of the Dead. He's a legend.
Yes.
Joe Pilato from Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And John Harrison, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. It's just incredible description they have here. A group of coked-up filmmakers, including Savini and Pilato, together in Pittsburgh to make a slasher film called Duped, the Snuff Movie. Yeah, it just sounds like just incredibly haphazard, low budget. I would assume, when did the film come out?
1980.
No, 1980.
Yeah.
It's just so I'm just fascinated when it's going to come out. Also, they must have found some really good elements if they can put out a 4K of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Agfa put out the Blu-ray not too long ago either.
Yeah, they did. It was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the movie The Last Horror Film with not Joe Pilato? I'm sorry, Joe Spinell.
I think so.
It's a movie about making a movie. It's a movie about a guy secretly making a movie at Cannes, while the filmmakers are also secretly making that movie at Cannes. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of vibe that I'm hoping to get, like something just so honest and pure and weird and fun, with the level of, like, first off, Tom Savini and Joe Pilato in the 80s were just so gung-ho to do everything. Like, you have, what's that, Night Riders, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Tom Savini didn't give a shit. He wanted to be Tom Savini, and I mean, he still is, but it was before, he had a booth at, conventions where you can pay to say hi, and he just wanted to be in front of your face. So I'm super excited to see just everything from that.
Yeah, he's got don't they have a new documentary out about Tom Savini too? Recently came out?
I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I have to get. I think I saw a Blu-ray come out for that somewhere, but all right. Well, that's the news from Agfa. Next, we got a few things from MVD. First, we'll start with MVD's breaking into the 4K game like everybody else, but this one is more on the kind of a high mainstream side. This is an Oscar film, and that's the 1988 film Rain Man is getting a 4K from MVD.
Yeah, it's part of their Marquee collection, which is different than their Rewind collection, which they're also putting out a release of. But yeah, this is a movie that I know that's been released at least twice already on Blu-ray. Both, I think, by MGM, and then I think the second release was remastered. So that was one. I think it's been around since 2014, 2015. So this is going to be an even bigger, better release visually, at least. It does say it's coming from previously restored in 4K on behalf of MGM. I wonder if that's the same remaster they used for that second Blu-ray, and they're just kind of reusing it again.
Yeah, the wording on that felt very specific.
Yeah, it does say that on behalf of MGM, because MGM, they've been in flux for years.
Well, MGM is also now got bought out by Amazon, so there's a lot of confusion there. And so, there was a lot of confusion if we were still going to be able to license titles from MGM. And it seems like there are still deals to be made. So, that's good for MGM because they have, believe it or not, as many MGM titles are out there, there's still more to be discovered and released. So I don't know to what capacity, because obviously this is a bigger title. They probably shelled out a decent amount of money to get it. And even still, they couldn't get a new scan. So that means the scan might not be fit for HDR if it was only a few years old. But, it's still going to be better, even if it was, a normal 10-bit scan. Instead of an HDR 16-bit scan. I've never seen the movie.
Oh, come on.
What's
your
deal,
deal,
man? You want
man?
me to watch every Oscar movie that comes out?
Look, you like the film Tropic Thunder?
I do.
Yeah. How can you understand the scene where he talks about, all the different examples of people that play
seen
mentally?
I Am Sam.
You've seen I Am Sam with
Yeah.
Well, that's one of them, but he talks about like a few different movies. He's like,
I know what Rain Man is. It's the movie where he goes, I'm talking here. No, I'm just kidding. I know it's not.
No, that's a different movie.
That's a different movie.
That's Midnight Cowboy.
Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, also starring Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
why
he
I
got
said
the
the
actor
joke.
right. He got that. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, actor right, wrong movie.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. But Rain Man's it's a solid sentimental movie.
It is very much a quintessential Oscar movie in the sense, like, if you see an Oscar highlights reel, there's going to be a clip from this movie.
Yeah.
Now, there are certain movies that they've been around for so long, and I missed the boat, but they became such a normal part of conversation and topic that I just, I'm like, I've seen it now. In my mind, I've basically seen it. I know what goes on.
Yeah. You've seen so many clips from it. You basically seen the movie, but it's the Tom Cruise that I kind of miss. Like I miss Tom Cruise just playing normal characters. he never plays a normal person anymore.
Yeah, his Ethan Hunt character is kind of morphed into a borderline superhero.
And then of course Tropic Thunder. It's been about 10 years now or so, but or
I think
12
longer
years.
than that.
It's been 2006, I think it was. No.
Yeah, it's been
2008. It came out right around Iron Man. But it's I just picked up the 4K. It's great. I watched it with the commentary. That commentary is amazing. He doesn't drop the character.
Robert Downey Jr. refused to break character until the DVD
great.
commentary.
I love it.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I have that DVD. I plan on re-upping on that 4K.
Yeah, what's great is you get that 4K and you get and I told Andrew this when this first got announced. I'm actually a proponent more for the theatrical cut than the director cut, because the director cut takes out some of the great jokes in the film from the I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it pissed me off. But and then you only get that. You get, I think, only 4K for the theatrical cut anyway. So, yeah. But speaking of Tom Cruise, great in that film. It's just one of the great characters he's ever done is in that movie.
Oh, you talk about Tropic Thunder?
Yes, Tropic Thunder.
Okay, I thought we were still on Rain Man. But for those of you who haven't seen Rain Man, it's a very heartwarming film. Basically, Tom Cruise plays an asshole.
Oh, that's great. Heartwarming. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays an asshole, but of course he has the character turn where he becomes a good guy because he gets to know a long-lost brother that I think he never knew about, portrayed by Dustin Hoffman, the character of Raymond, and he's autistic, and apparently he's been in, I believe, some type of, I would say an institution
assistant living type of...
Assistant living institution, something like that, and he just kind of never knew about him until adulthood and whatnot due to circumstances. It's been a few years since I've seen the movie, but they have to travel across country together, so it's a road movie. They get to know one another, and it's a whole big thing. I mean, it's a story that's obviously been done before, as all stories have, but it's a very heartwarming film. It does get a lot of bad rap in hindsight because many films after this have tried to capitalize on mental illness, on mental health issues, going for that Oscar, and whatnot.
I was gonna say this is like a performance movie more than the film itself being like really good. It's more about the performances than anything. I think a showcase for Dustin Hoffman, but he'd already, I think, won an Oscar with Kramer versus Kramer. he didn't need to get an Oscar. But
right. I mean, yeah, I think it won. Did it win Best Picture?
Yeah, it won Best Picture. Yep.
Yeah, it did win Best Picture. Directed by Barry Levinson. But yeah, this is getting a 2-disc edition. First disc being the 4K, second disc being the Blu-ray disc. I wouldn't be surprised if they just repackaged the old Blu-ray and put it on here with that remaster. I don't know. But it is coming with 3 audio commentaries, and that's kind of about it in terms of media special features. But yeah, it's an interesting catalog, MGM catalog to come out from MVD.
Yep.
Of all places.
Yep.
All right. But moving on, Stephen.
Yes, so this was an exciting one for me. I saw this the other day. Now, this isn't necessarily what we consider a boutique, but it's Sony Picture Home Entertainment's putting out a Blu-ray release for David Cronenberg's Spider.
I didn't know if you would include this.
Well, it's a movie I love so much, so I got to bring it in here.
Well, this is a significant release because I've had this DVD forever, and this DVD's been around since the movie came out in like 2002. So this is a much needed upgrade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Q&A. So a couple of years ago, there was a Cronenberg retrospective here at Beyond Fest in LA, and I was fortunate enough to work on bonus features, like not bonus features, videos screening, promoting the festival and stuff like that. And I got to do a couple of videos for all of the Cronenberg screenings that were going on, and they screened Spider, and that movie I've never seen it in HD. I've never seen it in the theater. I never saw anything, and it was so great to just finally be able to see it in the proper aspect ratio first off. So yeah, no, a Blu-ray of that is very much needed.
Yeah, and I think and then there's nothing wrong with this release. I'm assuming nothing wrong with this release, but I think maybe that this is getting a Blu-ray release maybe means a boutique maybe in the UK might be thinking about releasing this at some point. Maybe anybody else thinks that? I'm gonna keep getting higher until somebody agrees with me.
Nope. I have a feeling maybe that'll happen.
You don't think so? You don't think anybody else? Andrew knows something. I ain't gonna.
I just wanted to disagree with you.
Okay, well,
being all high pitched.
Well, fuck, man, that's not.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, and you do the rest of the podcast
like that.
So, what do you think about this title, Andrew? Nope. Nope. Okay.
I reject your hypothesis.
Shut up. All right, but yeah, Spider, great film. It says it's supposed to be hitting the market December 13th. So just in time for Christmas. So get this ready for your family. Buy Spider from David Cronenberg.
Buy Spider from David Cronenberg. There is another MVD release.
Yeah, I thought about it. I was like, damn, I suck. I forgot the other MVD release.
Okay.
So go ahead and bring it up.
I just didn't want you to skip over it.
Yeah.
Because I did actually get to watch the movie. So MVD Rewind Collection number 47. That's right. There's 47 of these now coming in January. It is The Last American Virgin. This is an interesting film from 1982. I had never heard of it until recently, and then I watched it, and I'm like, interesting. I kind of know why it's a bit of a forgotten cult film and why it's coming out through MVD Rewind, because it's similar to kind of like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Porky's and all those types of like immature adolescent teenage angsty 80s films that haven't really aged well over time. Revenge of the Nerds is another one, Animal House perhaps. And it's kind of the cringiest of all of those, and probably the least one that's aged well the most. I'm curious what audiences would think of it today viewing it. You really got to put yourself back into that 1982 adolescent perspective to kind of grasp onto it, or else it really kind of won't hold up. But yeah, I did get to see it.
So you're saying it's good?
I'm saying it's okay.
You're saying we have a chance.
That should be good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I do dig the packaging though, and I do dig the fact that looks like you're getting a couple of goodies with it, like a collectible mini posters and all kinds of special features and whatnot. It's an interesting film that just gets overshadowed by much better films that came out around that time.
All right. Well, I guess if you have a sex comedy from the 80s section in your collection,
I'm assuming 80s movies enthusiasts know of the movie a lot better than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one that's definitely for the collectors who love that kind of stuff.
Definitely. All right. Well, moving on from there. Another kind of one-off here. This was kind of random. I didn't expect this to kind of get announced by itself, but Imprint is putting out a 4K with a steelbook for the 1953 version of The War of the Worlds, which I think already has a Criterion release that came out a couple years ago now.
Yeah, I mean, it was the first got a 4K release.
Go ahead, Andrew Furtado.
I was gonna say this was the first Imprint spine #1. So yeah.
Oh yes.
It's not just exciting for people who like Imprint. I'm not gonna get it because I'm fine, but like I'm happy that it's coming out, for people, and I think that it's great that they're doing it again, and they get to fix some of their compression issues that they originally had with their original titles. Is a great title. It's a great it was a great release when I got that spine. So I think it's awesome that they have as much as they have. So
yeah, I'm with you. I have the Criterion. I think I'm okay with what I have.
I got the Criterion too.
In America, the 4K came with both, only available with War of the Worlds and what's the other one that it's the super bummer film. The world's gonna blow up.
Not Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow. No, that would be amazing.
Or the day after.
The day after. That's it.
No, I think that's wrong, and I'm an idiot.
No, I think it's something in that vein. I know what you're talking about.
No, it's the same era. But basically their whole thing was they're both on 4K, so it's nice for people who just want War of the Worlds to get the one.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because Paramount just put out a 4K of War of the Worlds, but it also comes with When Worlds Collide.
That's what it is. When Worlds Collide.
Yeah, this just came out September 27th, so less than a month ago.
But that movie is not for everybody. That movie, When Worlds Collide, is a fucking bummer. If you want to watch Threads and then go, you know what? I need an uplifting film. I'll put on When Worlds Collide.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely like, if I was to get War of the Worlds, I would probably get just the 4K of that, because the price is about, it's a little bit expensive, but it's a very nice package.
Definitely. Andrew?
Yeah, and this is a chance for people to get, I guess, if they missed out on getting #1 and people are OCD or about the collection and they want that #1 on the side of the packaging, I guess this is a way for them to do it. But like I think Steven said, I have the Blu-ray for the Criterion. I'm kind of okay with that. I remember when that came out and it sold like crazy, only for 2 years later, Paramount just putting out the 4K by itself, part of their Paramount Presents line. But yeah, so moving on from there, where would you like to go, Steven?
Let's talk about Vestron and the Silent Night, Deadly Night, 3 through 5.
Oh, we brought that up last week.
Did we?
Yeah.
I didn't remember. Sorry. But Andrew Furtado wants to say something
about it.
He didn't get to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
In our expert.
They're terrible movies, but I'm for it. The whole thing with Mickey Rooney being a fucking asshole about the movie, saying it's the worst thing ever, and then being in the fifth one is reason enough to make this release a success. Mickey Rooney saw the first one and said it was against God, it was against everything holy, and he'll never make a movie like that. Shotgun to the fifth in the movie, and he's the villain. It's just fucking beautiful.
Someone had a change of heart.
It's poetic justice. No, not a change of heart, a change of wallet size.
Yeah, were they shelling out good salaries for Silent Night, Deadly Night 5?
That's the sad part. No.
Well, I revisited the first two in prep for this.
You revisited the first one twice?
Yeah. I was gonna say the most ever I've seen, of any movie to use the same footage from the previous movie in the sequel. Like, I've never seen so much recutting just to throw in flashbacks. It's amazing.
3 through 5 are very different films. Very different films. Have either of you guys seen them already?
No, I've only seen the first two, and I was gonna say the first movie is fucking hardcore. Like, there's some hardcore shit.
The third movie has Bill Moseley That's all you need to know.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah.
I went to a Cinematic Void screening. They did all 3 of those ones, 3 through 5, maybe like 6 years ago. I don't know if you guys know Jim Branscombe.
Yeah, we had him on. We had Cinematic Void on. Yep.
He's an insane person for doing that. And I watched them then. I'll probably watch them. I'll probably get this Blu-ray because, as you can tell, I love trash cinema. Rain Man, what's that? Oh, Silent Night, Deadly Night 5? Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah,
God,
I got it.
I'm
going to get that
destroyed.
right away.
My taste is fucking screwed.
Dude, I'm with you, and I blame Severin and Vinegar Syndrome, and you guys have completely transformed my collection into being one thing, into now it's filled with exploitation and porn, basically porn. I have porn in my collection a lot more now. So I know we're revisiting it, but it seems like this has definitely a cult following, that people are going to be excited about this release. And if you don't feel like buying stuff online, a lot of times these Vestron releases are in Walmart, so you can just go to your local Walmart and this will probably be there. Or if you don't want to support Walmart, buy it from Orbit DVD. Bam. Orbit DVD plug.
You work that in very well.
I know. I do that. But
professional.
But let's move on. Let's talk about. I don't know if there's any other Kino things to talk about, but there was a kind of a noticeable one. Other than
one.
Missing in Action, the Chuck Norris films. There's the Missing in Action trilogy coming from Kino Lorber Classic. So that's Missing in Action from '84, Missing in Action 2, The Beginning, which, why would you go back and tell more? I don't know. 1985.
It's a prequel.
Why do we need a prequel to this movie? And then Braddock, Missing in Action 3, 1988. Anybody seen any of these? I think I've probably watched them like 20 times at some point in my.
I've only seen Missing in Action, but of note, the first 2 films are getting brand new HD masters from a 2022 4K scan of, I think, the original camera negative on both of those. And then I guess the third film doesn't see as much love. It's getting a brand new 2022 HD master from a 2K scan of the 35mm interpositive, not even an original negative.
You know what? That seems like way more work than it probably really.
I guess they were just like, this is good enough for the third one.
That's a lot of work.
A lot of the time, films like that, we dealt with the Changeling. It's not the quality of the film that matters. Sometimes it's the only element that's still available.
Right.
These films, especially later sequels, get shifted around. Like if you look at the La Casa series in Spain, which is Evil Dead 2, Beyond Darkness, and all these other fucking movies. There's like 7 of them. The House films. They're all these different titles, everything's getting shifted around, and back then no one's keeping their paperwork proper, so a lot of these films are just lost. They're in a storage unit. When I worked on Nightbreed, that movie, I forgot what the title Nightbreed was under, but it was under a completely different title because it was filmed in London, came out there, and it was in Ohio under some random Spanish title. Like, it takes a lot of work to get some of these things done, and sometimes the fight is not worth it.
Yeah. It also just kind of shows you that, like, maybe the first 2 films were, maybe, I don't even know what the history of production of this.
Well, I would assume this is a canon film.
They're all canon.
I was going to say
canon films.
Yeah.
And as we know, as canon went along later on, they had money issues, production issues, and we've seen Superman 4: Quest for Peace. I mean, come on.
I love Superman 4: Quest for Peace.
Of course you do, you damn trash. Piece of trash.
But it's just like, it kind of, maybe it shows like kind of what Andrew Furtado was saying, that like they just didn't take care of the original camera negative and it just got lost.
Yeah.
And nobody cared enough about the movie to keep track of it.
There's a whole this will happen eventually down the line, but when David was in London once, he went to go pick up some elements from a place that they were holding all their film negatives in a barn, and they were the same. It was the same barn that he went to 13 years ago when he went to grab some of the films the first time. And guess what? There's now a hole in the roof of that barn.
Jesus.
And all of those elements, I don't know if you've ever been to London, it's a little fucking humid and rainy all the time, which is not ideal storage for film elements. So, there's a lot of things that go into it. And that's the guy who owns the films, keeping his negatives in that situation, So, who knows what's going on with Missing in Action 3.
Yeah,
but Interpositive in 1080 is actually pretty decent. You should be okay with that.
Yeah. But these are films that I've probably seen like 20 times a piece because my dad's a huge Chuck Norris fan. So I've probably as a child seen these movies many times. I don't really remember them because then later on I had to watch every episode of Walker, Texas Ranger many times. So Andrew Furtado's, he probably did too. So it's I don't really remember. Yeah. So I don't really remember the movies, but I know they're kind of.
Yeah, they're dealing with Vietnam.
I was gonna say
POWs,
it's his Rambo
Vietnam
movies.
veterans. Yeah. It's kind of that there was that thing in the 80s where they were making Vietnam War films post Vietnam about PTSD and soldiers coming back and then going back for long lost POWs and all this kind of stuff. I just feel like that was just a recurring theme in a lot of movies. I mean, First Blood Part 2 has that same plot.
Yeah. Rolling Thunder's a good Vietnam movie.
Rolling Thunder, it's interesting. It's not a movie I was expecting to hate or anything like that, but I definitely felt really weird about that one. It was a lot darker than I expected it to be.
Yeah,
That's already on Blu-ray though, so let's not talk about that.
Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about here's one that I saw got here it is. I'm missing it. Where's the? I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, this is terrible podcasting.
I got one lined up if you want.
Well, do you tell me what it is? Because it might be what I'm looking for.
Well, I'm looking at 88 Films is putting out a box set of 4 films of In the Line of Duty 1 through 4. And we talked a little bit about Yes, Madam, which is actually being put out
as In the
on
Line of
Blu-ray
Duty
by
3.
Eureka in the UK. And then 88 got the licenses here, but it's got the license for not only Yes, Madam, but Royal Warriors, In the Line of Duty 3, and In the Line of Duty 4.
So this kind of goes in line with what I was saying about the La Casa films. Look at this. All of the titles in this box set are different films that they just got packaged together.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was...
This is not... Yeah, these are not quite... They're not like... It's weird. They all have different titles, different plot. They don't connect with one another. They're just police-centric action Hong Kong films from the 80s. That's
the character is Michelle Yeoh's character the same?
No, 2 different characters.
Not at all.
She's in the first 2 films. She's in Royal Warriors and Yes, Madam. Completely different characters, plots. Yeah. They don't connect.
And then she's not she's not in the last 2 films, is she?
No.
Okay.
And apparently, this kind of loose franchise goes on for much longer than 4 movies. I think there's 9 of them.
Yeah. Well,
that I was looking up.
That's what I'm saying. When you're releasing movies and are different, changing the title just for whatever region you have this series in, it doesn't really matter. I mean, even back then, speaking of 88, look at Tiger Cage 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
The only thing linking those films together are they're done by the same director. They're legally called Tiger Cage 1, 2, and 3, but they're all completely different movies.
Yeah. And sometimes that's fun. I enjoy that because it's they're not beholden to the last film. They're not really thinking. I mean, obviously they weren't made with it in mind. They're just using the name as branding because the first movie was popular maybe, and then moving forward just trying to sell it off of that last movie. But it makes for interest. It makes for interesting. If you want to call it canon that they're all supposed to be part of a series of films, makes it interesting to watch them all together.
Well, it's interesting because depending on where you live, the title is completely different. They're selling it and probably marketing it as something else.
I know Yes, Madam is Yes, Madam, and so that was
but in the UK, apparently it's called Police Assassins, and then apparently Royal Warriors is also called Police Assassins too.
Now, how fun finding the negative for this fucking movie, huh?
Yeah.
But I guess they were able to because they're putting out all of them.
Yeah.
Well, all 4 of these at least. Yeah, so these are all getting released here. And this is, I think, 88 Films USA. Keep in mind there's 88 Films UK, then there's 88 Films USA, and they kind of put out different things depending on.
Yeah, there's a lot of
rights
overlap
issues and
going on
whatnot.
right now between UK and USA, and especially the Hong Kong titles. It's very frustrating as a collector because I love both Eureka and 88, and I want to support them both, but at the same time, Eureka put out all 3 police stories on 4K, and 88 put out just the 4K of the 3rd one, which is great. But I want that fucking triple. But I think 88 wins on this one as much as I love Eureka. And what they do eventually down the line during a sale, I'll probably grab it because I love what their bonus features are. I mean, their bonus features are always really great. They have great vintage interviews and stuff like that. But 88 wins on this, having more films. And the last 2 I've never seen. So, yeah.
Yeah. And, it's always good to, they keep pushing more and more of these kind of like, and we'll get into it when we talk about category 3, because like, a lot of the category 3 stuff's been coming out from 88. I just hope to have more. And I just keep learning more and more about seeing more of these like Hong Kong police action films. I love finding new more of these.
Yeah.
Apparently that was a very popular genre in Hong Kong cinema in the 80s.
Yeah, police procedurals. A lot of the times it felt very much like the Hellraiser series where they were like, we got this great police procedural. How do we just make it work for whatever genre we're trying to do? Let's just fucking pencil this in.
Yeah,
let's just do that.
Yeah, it's like, let's pencil. Yeah, let's like, we got like this very loose kind of, police procedural premise, like some crimes, some bad guys. But let's just put some kick-ass action in there. That's what people really come to see.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it later.
Yeah. We're getting Andrew Furtado's getting a little bit excited. We're almost there. We only got a couple more things.
I know. I'm pushing all of the Andrew Furtado buttons, trying to see if I can get him to break.
Yeah,
I could stop. I'll break, but
stop it, Andrew. One. But there's a couple more things I want to talk about. One thing I want to bring up real quick is it's Arbalest Films is putting out a collection of films from Nina Menkes. This was a, I'm not very. I know I've heard of her. I know she's an independent filmmaker, feminist independent filmmaker, and I'd never seen any of her films, but everybody was sharing this release around on Twitter, saying that this was a big release. So, Andrew Furtado, you've heard of any films from Nina Menkes?
I've not, and
okay.
I'm not ashamed to say that because like we were just talking about, these director box sets, getting these kind of things in one lets you kind of just completely immerse yourself in their filmmaking, and this is something that like Phantom Love is one that I heard of, but I've never seen. So I'm very excited to at least get into it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means I get to experience a lot of this stuff for the first time without knowing anything about her.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talk about this all the time, the blind buying that we do. This is a way to really get a great introduction for us that we haven't gotten a chance to see her, and now we get to see, I think, 6 films here from her. Some being short films, but I think most of these are features. But the films that are in the set are from 1983, The Great Sadness of Zohara. Then from 1986, we have Magdalene. I can't say it. Magdalena's Verga. You say all these. Why am I saying this stuff?
Magdalena Varaga, Queen of the Diamonds.
I could say that one. You should have let me say that one.
Yeah. I think the rest you kind of got.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Finish up.
Oh, okay. The Bloody Child from 1996, Phantom Love from 2007, then Dissolution from 2012. I did actually see people post about this. So these, there's looks like a lot of restorations are happening here on this disc here. I think she has a movie out right now, or coming out, a documentary actually, called Brainwash Sex Camera Power. It's from 2022. And then a documentary short called The Lioness, also from 2022. I don't know if either of those are out yet, or if critics have seen those yet, but this is someone who is still active.
Definitely.
in some way, shape, or form. Who's putting this out? It's a company we don't really.
It's Arbalest.
Talk about Arbalest.
Arbalest.
Yeah.
We're actually if we're able to schedule it, make sure we schedule it next week. I believe we have somebody from them coming on next week.
Okay.
One of the two guys that are with Canadian International Pictures is
right.
Yeah. So we could talk to them more about it.
Do you guys ever fuck with Curzon Artificial Eye releases?
I think I have a few. I don't have a lot. What you got?
Talked about
I
Curzon
recommend them as far as their director box sets go. They did one that was for Roy Anderson, who's a filmmaker I've always really loved. Just getting to see some of those on Blu-ray was amazing because I missed a lot of those in the theater. And then they also did Adam McGoyan, who I've never seen one of his fucking movies, but I've heard he is so great and right up my alley. I bought that box set blind. So highly recommend their releases. They do a great job.
Oh yeah, they just recently announced that Vim Vendors set, that big set.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah, they got that big Vim Vendors set with like 30 movies, something huge set. Like looks like the size of the Shaw Brothers set, but with all Vim Vendors.
Think of
stuff.
My shelf. It's hard.
I know. Yeah, I know. But it's I mean, this is exciting. Once again, this might be just a blind pickup for me. All right. Well, let's get to the last. Unless there's anything else other than where I'm going, Andrew. Is there anything else that you want to bring up?
I'd have to. I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much everything that we wanted to cover, with a few surprises in there, at least from my perspective.
You're welcome, Andrew.
So I mean, the highlight of the week I think is coming up.
What are you talking about? That fucking MVD, Last American Virgin. That was the highlight of the week.
Okay, I guess according to you it was.
Nobody thought that was funny. Fine, fuck it.
No, I didn't think that was funny at all.
Okay, great.
Should've just been like, let yourself live in the silence. Let yourself live in that silence.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
Criterion.
So actually, Criterion is the grand finale.
Go for it, Andrew Furtado. No, I'm just kidding. Andrew Cabral, go for it. Go run it down.
Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films. These are their January titles. We've got Baron Munchausen, the Terry Gilliam film,
getting a 4K, which is great.
Which is getting a 4K. We've got Imitation of the Light, the John M. Stahl film, and this is the original one that came out in 1934, not the Douglas Sirk remake from 1959. I believe this is just a regular Blu-ray release. Yes, and then we've got Lars von Trier's Europe trilogy. This is his first 3 feature films. It is the films Element of Crime, Epidemic, and Europa. I know Element of Crime and Europa have had DVDs releases in the past because I have Europa on DVD actually. Then we've got a relatively newer film. This is not a burial; it's a resurrection, and this is from I think 2019. And then finally we've got the film Bergman Island from 2021, which was just last year as of this recording. So Stephen, where do you want to start off?
Well, I mean, I think the Terry Gilliam release is probably people's probably jumping to that first. Now I haven't, I don't know about Andrew Furtado, but I didn't see any, I wasn't able to watch any of this, so I don't have a lot to say. But
Lars von Trier is a very interesting filmmaker, but I think he's more interesting the more freedom he got to work and more money. He was one of those filmmakers that, in my opinion, benefited from studios not understanding what the fuck he was doing. So
I don't think anyone still does.
Yeah, exactly. But Lars von Trier, I'm interested in all of these things. But I've been a big fan of Criterion streaming service because, no offense to Criterion, but a lot of their movies are one-time watches, in my opinion. And being able to see what I want to buy ahead of time, it's been amazing. So, and the thing about them, like the 4K, obviously I got to get Baron von Munchausen, Terry Gilliam in the fucking house. But I probably save all of those for streaming.
Yeah.
It's interesting you bring that up because a lot of these are available to stream on their on their streaming service, Criterion channel. Specifically, 2 out of 3 of the films in this Europe trilogy, the first and last, Element of Crime and Europa, are both available to stream. The second film, Epidemic, is not available to stream.
I think it's a good
enough.
business move for them to allow that, though, at the same time, because I mean, Arrow did it with a lot of their stuff goes up almost a couple weeks after on their streaming service. Like, I got to see Running Out of Time 1 and 2 pretty soon after those Blu-rays came out, and they're Johnny To is a filmmaker that we'll talk about in the next segment, but I'm hot or cold on his stuff, and I just don't know if he's a filmmaker for me. So I'm glad I was able to look at those, because I actually really liked Running Out of Time. But do I need to own it? I don't know. Criterion allowing people to say, fuck, this is my jam, I gotta fucking buy that box set, that's amazing. Like, that's great. So good on them for doing that.
Yeah, this is a very interesting box set. It's a very interesting group of films, because it's the first 3 films from a relatively well-known director. I always find that fascinating. I always love going back to the origins of a director, and like seeing where they first started off, and kind of maybe not comparing it, but just seeing how they progress over time. And Lars von Trier is a unique filmmaker, to say the least. A controversial filmmaker, et cetera, et cetera. His films are very provocative. If you've seen or heard of the movie Antichrist, you know what I'm talking about. That's a hell of a movie. It's unique, to say the least, and just his meditations on life are rather unique. I think there are certain filmmakers like Gaspar Noé, Nicholas Winding Refn, all of those kind of like modern day European art house directors all have interesting things going on in their movies. I always kind of dig it, or at least interested to watch it.
Yeah, there seems to be like a psychosexual kind of element to everything.
And these films are very much in that, but they're so raw because it's so early on, and it's just all like experimentation, and it's just all like you can't tell what's going on most of the time, because it's so hypnotic. It's like you dropped acid and you're in this dystopian, like post-apocalyptic Europe, and it's just an odd world in which he's setting up, where you don't know the rules of the world. You just know that it's just psychedelic as hell. And all the films are like meditations on, a possible alternate European world. Very fascinating group of films. I'm curious, how people are going to gravitate toward that box set. Baron Munchausen, I actually watched this for the first time. The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. And this film is as Terry Gilliam as you can get. It's you taking that whimsical, wild craziness of Terry Gilliam, like of like Brazil and Time Bandits and stuff like that, and like that, it's all thrown in this movie and even dialed up even more. There's a segment of this movie with Robin Williams playing he's supposed to be the moon, maybe, I don't know, but apparently the backstory of the making of the movie I find endlessly fascinating. It was way over budget, apparently. To the point where Robin Williams did it for nothing, because they couldn't pay him, and so he has an uncredited role in the movie, and I was not expecting that. Uma Thurman is in the film, I think in her first role ever. Very young Uma Thurman. Oliver Reed shows up at one point. Eric Idle's in the film, of course, because of the Monty Python connection. Sarah, I think it's filmmaker, actress Sarah Polley plays the little girl who's the protagonist that we're kind of going along in this adventure with. Really just a zany movie, and that's so Terry Gilliam. It's got all the props and all the set design and everything that you've come to know from Terry Gilliam. So if you're a Terry Gilliam fan, this movie. You've probably seen this movie. It's not the first time it's come out in HD format. There is an older Blu-ray that's been around for years, but this is gonna look probably incredible in 4K, just because of how visual this movie is.
I'm glad Gilliam's getting all these 4K releases lately. He's a filmmaker that definitely benefits.
Yeah, he's such a visual filmmaker. That's his strength. But so I got to see also Imitation of Life's a movie I've known of for years, because forever and a day, well, I guess up until now, this movie's always been packaged with the 1959 Douglas Sirk movie. It was packaged together on DVD, packaged together on Blu-ray together, put out by Universal, I believe. So this is one of the unique times where this movie's getting a standalone release, and it's an interesting 1930s melodrama starring Claudette Colbert, who of course was in one of Steven's favorite movies.
He brings it up every time we talk about Claudette.
I bring it up every time. Got to do it.
It happened one night. Yes.
It happened one night, which
movie.
I think came out, I want to say the same year or the year after this. And yeah, so Claudette Colbert is this woman who is a single mother, which is already an interesting aspect for 1930s film to tackle. But she brings in this maid who is also a single mother, but happens to be an African American, and brings her in. And what is unique about that is that she brings her in as like a maid, but they end up becoming business partners, and they end up becoming really, really rich. But the thematic thing that's really heavy about this movie, and what really kind of has its staying power, is that her housekeeper's daughter is unique because she's white passing. Where her skin is light enough to where she can pass for being a white child and a white person, and to the point where she's pretending to be in school with other white children. Of course, this time had all the segregation laws and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's a very contentious relationship between mother and daughter, very melodramatic. You know, that may have some staying power, but it's just kind of a whole commentary on race in the 1930s, which I find to be rather unique. So I just love old, classic golden age Hollywood stuff,
especially told in the time. That sounds great.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, these two other titles, I've seen both of them as well. It's kind of what I do, I guess.
Of course you do.
Of course I did. So Bergman Island, I saw it last year. And Bergman Island, starring Tim Roth is in the film, and Vicky Krieps. Vicky Krieps, who was fantastic in, what was that PTA film?
Phantom Thread.
Phantom Thread.
Yeah.
Yes. She's fantastic in that. She is I believe she's a filmmaker, and her partner, portrayed by Tim Roth, go to Bergman Island, where Bergman lived, for like inspiration. Faroe Island in Sweden. And there, like, you get so many references and kind of homages to Bergman, but then you also, at one point, I don't want to give it away too much, another narrative of the film kind of takes over, and then you go on kind of a flashback type of, plot line kicks in, with like younger versions of I believe the Vicky Krieps character and stuff like that, or she starts telling. Like the film she wants to tell kind of starts coming to life. It's a very unique kind of surreal type of film. I don't want to get too into it, but I'll just say that I found it to be very good. That was just
I remember hearing about it when it was coming out last year, and I mean, it's about it's got reference to any movie that's got reference to other movies. I mean, that's gonna be something I want to at least check out.
Castle Rock.
Yeah,
yeah, nice.
But and then the last one.
This is not a burial; it's Resurrection, which I think is a great title. This is actually I believe a South African film, but it's about and told from the perspective, and I believe directed from the perspective of the indigenous peoples of South Africa, and it centers around this woman who is in the twilight of her days. She's 80 years old. Her family has kind of all passed away. And what is happening now is that the village that she's lived in her whole life, her family's lived there for generations upon generations. It's one of those things where just people have just lived there forever. Is being sold for development, where they're going to flood the whole area and just
they're going
to kick everybody out, and then her and the village are kind of like fighting back against that. But that's not really what the movie's about. It's one of those where like that's the plot. But it's not really what the movie's about. It's about life. It's about death. It's about aging. It's about family. It's about more than just that. It's a meditation on so many things. It's a fantastic film. I think it's just amazing.
Great.
Yeah. Awesome. You're selling me.
When do they come in? When do the land developers come in and say they're going to build a high-class ski resort?
I don't know if
in South Africa.
In South Africa,
that was the joke. I'm just,
dude. No, nobody's laughing at your shit either. Let's just calm down. But awesome. Well, I mean, January, starting the year off pretty, solid. Some Terry Gilliam, and then some stuff that's maybe some great discoveries there, at least for me.
I don't know if you want to talk about anything else going on.
Oh, well, I was going to. You're right. Yeah, let's just for a little bit.
I teased it a little bit in our group that we may talk about, so I don't want to lie to the people in our Facebook group. So I'm kind of covering my own butt here. But it did come out recently that there's that Criterion had to lay off about 20% of their staff, their employees, which amounted to about 16 people. They have an 80-something person staff, which, is just indicative of the times in which we live in economically. And it's kind of unique that we have Andrew Furtado here, who works at a label, one of these boutique labels and where like the logistics are obviously what they are. Times are radically changing and everything's different in terms of it's economics about how the way in which these movies and companies are run and produced and things like that. I know you guys have had like supply chain issues. And,
where we are though versus where Criterion is, it's literally like talking to Manny's Taco Hut and then asking the CEO of Taco Bell, the same kind of question. They're very much a big company.
Very different,
And they've been. I don't know what caused the layoffs or anything like that, and it's always unfortunate to hear that has to happen. As a company, I mean, you have to grow with the times, and that is a company that I feel they definitely needed something. They needed to try something. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know why. The downsizing happened. It could have been, there's just no money. But at the same time, I've seen lines at Barnes and Noble on people wearing Criterion shirts during the sale. So I know people are excited about their releases. So it might be more than that. Might be, I can't
just
give much
don't know
more information than that.
You don't really know. It could be, a multiple factor of things. Mm-hmm. It could be, the landscape is vastly changing, people's priorities. We all know economically, the country is in a much harsher place than it was, several years ago. Yeah. I'll say this, though, when it comes to, like, Criterion as a brand, as just, like, a name, it's still very, very strong amongst collectors and film enthusiasts and stuff like that. So I don't think that that's necessarily the issue, and I don't really like to speculate on all that. I'll just say that, Criterion is still a rather beloved label.
Agreed.
I think the thing with Criterion that has always been its strength is they do weigh heavily on the titles of the movies.
Definitely.
Like the movies themselves are what they're giving to you.
Their restorations are usually second to none.
Yeah, it's those things. Like, this is the presentation, the restoration of the movie itself. The extra features, of course, have been indelible and unique for them for the longest time. I mean, a lot of their releases and Blu-ray box sets are kind of like going to film school in a box. It's just like I'll never forget watching the Apu trilogy for the first time and learning everything I needed to know about Satyajit Ray in that box set. Just like giving me a whole course on him and his life and his movies in that box set. And it's incredible. And a lot, even, and they're releasing new unique titles now. Like, they just released Shaft. Like, I would have never thought that Shaft would get a Criterion release at some point. Well, that's awesome. The Melvin Peoples box set's cool. I mean, just a lot of these movies that I never thought would see Criterion releases are getting Criterion releases. So we're getting some new and exciting things to come out. Another big factor that I don't know if a lot of people are aware of, but I think people listening to here are aware of, is that the market for or the landscape for the boutique label is vastly different than it was 5 years ago, let alone in the last few years. We've got so many different outlets now from so many different places putting out so many different unique films and unique collections and box sets and presentations.
Damn, Severin Films got like 20 box sets in a year.
Well, not only that, but yes, Severin's one of them. Vinegar, like all of these different companies now, whereas 5 to 10 years ago, back in the late 2000s when I was collecting, there was only a couple of boutique labels. Now there's so many putting out so much stuff all the time. So us as collectors, we got to make decisions on where to put our money.
It's them Severin box sets. So
yeah, Severin box sets.
Every Severin goddamn Severin box set I have to get. And so Criterions get left behind. I'm sorry.
You're terrible.
Well, someone has to buy the Christopher Lee Eurocrypt set volume 2.
Yeah. Everybody should. It's a great set. They're great sets. But yeah, I mean, anything else before we move on to what Andrew Furtado is here for? No,
I think we're good. No. I think we covered.
But Criterion, we our hearts out to the people that they got laid off, and
it sucks.
It sucks. I hope they find other work.
Yeah, especially in this environment, it sucks not having. But any type of job, really.
Let alone let's not make them feel worse. Jesus Christ, in this market, good luck getting a job. No, people at Criterion, they're the top of the top, cream of the crop. So I don't. Just as you were saying, there are a million labels now. Those labels could benefit from people who worked at Criterion. Those people who at Criterion could benefit from working with new people. So I guarantee that there won't be unemployment cards being vouched. I forgot. I haven't been unemployed in so long.
Well, that's good. That's good, man. Keep that going.
Yeah, you don't know how it works.
Yeah, I'm just so gainfully employed.
Yeah, well, I know they're keeping you busy over there.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're going to be working on something. You're probably working on something right now as you're talking to us.
What are you trying to say? You think I phoned this in? No.
No, I think you're just good at multitasking. That's all I'm saying.
I got a notepad.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right. Well, yeah. But all right. So let's get into our special topic for this episode. Andrew Furtado, introduce it to us. Give people this. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about the history of Category 3.
Yeah, just unleash.
Basically, there were a few things that were going to happen. Originally, I was going to come on closer to Black Friday, but there were some scheduling conflicts. So Stephen asked me. He said, "Andrew, what's something that you would want to talk about and come on? Because we love hearing your voice and you're the best in the world. Why are you drinking Pepsi while you work for Pepsi? That's insider trading. That's branding." The sponsor,
they can't see this. It's an audio pod. Can you know that it's Pepsi through me drinking it?
Yeah,
I hope so.
I could tell by the way you
Pepsi
said
challenge.
You went, ugh. I'm just kidding. But basically, I something I really love is talking about censorship. Working for a company that focuses so much on releasing uncensored films. My boss is obsessed with video nasties because and releasing as many video nasties as he can because they were so hard to find for so long. And what is a video nasty other than what is a Category 3 other than a video nasty for Hong Kong? So I wanted to kind of go through and talk about something that I love, which is Asian cinema, Hong Kong cinema, very much so. And there was an amazing film festival that happens in Brussels called the Off-Screen Film Festival. This year, they actually did a whole focus on Category 3. They had a whole film series playing some of the more iconic Category 3. When we're talking Category 3, by the way, Category 3, like I said, is just a rating. It doesn't. People often associate Category 3 with the more obscene titles like Robotrix and that a woman gets raped to death by a robot who cuts her in half and keeps on going, or The Untold Story, which is a film that has had quite the troubled past, but also Category 3 titles are things like Wong Kar-wai's Happy Together, which is only Category 3 because it's got homosexuality in it. And the real reason for censorship is what I kind of find the most interesting. There's no surprise to know that China is a very conservative place. So anyways, they had on YouTube, you can actually see it, which is great. They had Dr. Victor Fan come in and do a whole history on censorship in China because he's a Hong Konger native, so he was kind of around the whole thing, and he's done books on the subject and stuff like that. So the opening bit of what I'm going to do is kind of a synopsis of what he talked about, but I highly recommend you watch the entire video. Basically, he tracked censorship all the way back to 1888. I know what you're thinking. Films didn't happen until later in the 1900s. Well, there is something that Hong Kong is known for before then, which was tea houses and Hong Kong, theaters playing these beautiful plays and music and what is that called? Chinese opera. Thank you very much, Andrew. You jumped in there at the very end. But since
happy to be of service,
Hong Kong was colonized There were trading ports, tons of people coming in and out, bringing money into Hong Kong. Most of those people were British, which will come in later. But the opera houses were banning Chinese music being played because it was offending the British government. And then what's interesting was that they made it so if you wanted to play Hong Kong, like Chinese music in your business, you had to pay the Hong Kong government a licensing fee. So basically already we're finding political motivation in getting, these people, stopping them from doing what they do until they pay you, which is a theme that's going to be coming in and out. I think that's absolutely insane. Just already you're censoring people from being themselves just because, you want to make some money off of them. But in the early 1900s, there was a big boom as films became a thing and investors were pumping in more money into Hong Kong to get as many theaters up so they could play movies and get all these crazy things. They were silent at the time, so there was tons of films coming everywhere. And again, as the government decided to change the law, there was now a licensing fee to pay to play non-Chinese films. So anything Chinese was okay. So then that actually kind of started a film industry where all the people who were paying this, like Taiwan and mainland people were paying to build these theaters in Hong Kong. They now had an incentive to produce original content in Chinese language to avoid the licensing fee. And what would you do if you were trying to interest people into seeing a film that is not of their native language, probably starring no one that they know? And there are two words here: sex and violence.
Yes.
And that should sound a little familiar considering category 3 is most iconic for their sex and violence. So you were getting these, Victor explained these screenings that they would actually do in Hong Kong in the early 1900s, which were called the X-ray experience, which is you would have a stripper behind the screen as a light would boot, and in silhouette they would do a strip show, and then they would show a sex film, like a Hong Kong sex film. So, and sometimes if they wanted to get real nasty, a Swedish sex film. But so yeah, I thought that was really interesting when I heard him say that, because there's a constant growth of, here's the law. Okay, how do we work that law? Okay, well, that's not the law anymore. We're changing the law. Okay, how do we circumvent it again? How do we constantly grow? And that is kind of just where we go. I'm kind of running out of time only because I heard him awake and it's almost his bedtime. So I'm going to go a little faster. I'm going to go to the 1950s. I'm going to skip right through the early 1900s. And I'm going to jump to the 1950s, where there's another thing where, film presence is a little more established in Hong Kong. There are filmmakers coming from Hong Kong, learning and growing. The government laws are still trying to fight their way to keep making it hard to have that creative freedom. But since Hong Kong was actually under UK rule, you now had this double-edged sword where the Hong Kong government said, okay, you can't make anything offensive to us or to the UK government. You can't offend either of those parties, which is interesting because, as Victor said, they are polar opposites in what they believe. One is very liberal, the other one's very conservative. You can't offend anybody, so what the fuck are you going to do? Lots of changes came as the industry developed and grew. Filmmakers were pushing the boundaries of censorship, constantly trying to keep people in line as they were banning the films. They actually started editing and censoring the films. Think of Cinema Paradiso, for example, that priest going in and marking your film and censoring it before he screens it to the country. That's just absolutely insane. That's censorship. And it's not even a set censorship. It's actually censorship based on somebody else's opinion of what they think might offend the other person. So I think that's just insane. And it actually scared filmmakers to the point where they were changing their movies to avoid censorship. In 1965, I'm sorry. my dyslexia jumped in. In 1965, there was a new censorship law in place where you couldn't do anything in a modern Chinese setting, which is why there's a strong theory that I tend to agree with, because in 1965, the Shaw brothers started doing the ancient Chinese setting as their extremely violent films were, taking the rise. So One-Armed Swordsman is the first one of the ancient, like, Chinese, backdrop where there's nothing familiar to a modern audience. And that came out the same year that the censorship law took place. So that, I thought that was really interesting, and I can't fully back it, but at the same time, I print the legend on it. That's so cool. And it's a great tactical move, because they were then able to continue making these extremely high-end violent films and kind of get away with it because of the new censorship law, finding and adapting. In 1982, this is where it kind of takes a sadder turn. In 1982, because of the strict laws and people wanting to see more modern films, there are 3 films that came out at the same year about underage sex: Teenage Dreamers, The Lonely 15, and Once Upon a Rainbow. One of them focuses on a girl kind of losing herself and all that. Other one is a very sexy film about underage children. So it's a touchy subject, but trying to challenge the system and also push the boundaries. But at the same time, all 3 of those films ended the same way, where the girl or girls in the films went back to their homes and became good girls for the rest of their lives. And you could tell that was not what they wanted to see. Like, Victor talked about this and I was like, that sounds insane. So I watched all three the endings, because I have a child and I can't watch that kind of stuff anymore. But I was completely blown away. It literally feels like it's out of left field. And they're all pretty similar, and it's really unfortunate, because where those films would have gone could have been just as impactful as where they started. And in 1987, there was a big scandal that came out about the government saying that they never had to censor a lot of stuff. They were censoring more than they thought, because they thought that's what the people wanted, but really the law set in was only to censor the political stuff, which is what we were talking about earlier, where you couldn't offend the politics of the UK government or the Chinese government. They just took out more stuff because they thought that's what the people would have preferred.
Yeah.
That big scandal happened in the 80s, and which led to 1988, where the now very familiar Category 1, Category 2, Category 3 rating popped up. Anyways, that's where kind of the history of Category 3 and getting the rating system in. I know I went a little fast, so I apologize.
Yeah.
But
that's a good overall look.
Yeah, it's like I said, Victor Fan did an amazing job. It's like a 30-minute conversation that he did there. But I think just the thing that drives me insane for Hong Kongers and for Hong Kong cinema is they're treating it like George Lucas, where they're going back and changing things as the years go on. For example, a lot of films that came out in 1987 retroactively got the Category 3 rating, making it so Category 3 means you cannot see this film if you are under 18. Like there, it's a lot more strict. Like you can get a parent to show you whatever here, but there, if you doesn't matter if you have a cool mom or not, you ain't seeing that shit. And and meanwhile, here in America, Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom, you can still watch a dude get his heart ripped out alone. Like you don't need a parent to see that.
You can go watch Jaws and watch people get eaten and chopped up for
exactly.
Anywhere.
And it's PG, and that's insane to me that they're able to go back. Some films that are like that, it just got out. Curse, the seventh curse.
Yep.
It's fantastic. It's insane, but it starts with babies being thrown down a well.
Yep.
Like, I highly recommend you watch it. But,
dude, I did watch it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
it's great.
So after that, there was a big boom of people going, okay, the rating system is in place, let's fucking go. And you got films like Riccio, Dr. Lamb, Sex and Zen, which are taking that Category 3 logo and turning it into a badge of honor. Like, this is our movie. Fucking see it. Yeah. We're going to fucking kick your ass.
Especially Riccio.
Yeah. Sex and Zen is one of the highest grossing Category 3 films ever. I don't know if have any of you guys seen it?
All right, no, it's one I was aware of. I think wasn't there a Blu-ray release for that too recently?
Yeah, it came out from Umbrella.
Yeah.
That's the highest grossing Category 3 film ever. That's The Deep Throat, Okay. But even still, a lot of these Category 3 films, what they do is they promise a lot through the poster, but they deliver very little. A lot of, like, for the sex stuff anyways, like Sex and Zen, like there's, promising of circumcision and all this crazy weird shit. It's a wild ass movie, but you just get it all in conversation a lot of the time, and a little nip slip here and there. Anyways, it's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where you think you've seen a lot more than actually is presented. Not like Texas Chainsaw 2. That movie shows and delivers.
Yeah, that's very true. It's kind of interesting, kind of the correlation, the way the censorship was here in the U.S., where and how certain filmmakers tried to get around it. I think specifically Hitchcock with coded, homosexuality in Rope and stuff like that, where you couldn't show that on screen, but you could but he kind of worked it in, or things like, or certain other kind of things like voyeurism in Rear Window, or stuff like that. Things that are taboo in a way that you couldn't explicitly show, like the psycho shower scene, where there's no actual parts where you see the blade make contact with the skin. You just put it together in your head. So there's way in which he worked around that stuff here. And obviously it's a different case in terms of censorship, but it's just kind of interesting how there's censorship in different ways across different, cinematic areas. Yeah. Europe is different than here. Obviously Asia and China, Hong Kong different than here, and all this kind of stuff. I think here the thing that's the biggest issue, I think we've said it many times, Stephen, sexuality or sexual things seem to be the thing that's a big stickler for the MPAA. Like, that's the one that really gets them going, and they just don't dig that stuff here. Whereas you were just saying, action, violence seem to be okay, but in the UK, action and violence not okay.
Yeah.
So therefore, you have the whole video nasties thing in the UK, where all this kind of gore and violence, that stuff's no good.
Yeah. And, Kat just tried to jump on me here. Just try to ruin the podcast. But,
sabotage.
Yeah. But, I mean, and I love, the history of all this censorship is always, you look at it and it's always like, Jesus Christ, it's so ridiculous why they're trying to stop all this. But what happens? You get great stuff out of the limitations.
100%. You get people pushing the boundaries and finding ways to work it, and then you find yourself getting something crazy like Dr. Lamb, or you find yourself with people going, okay, cool, that was really successful, let's just do that again. Struggling, they actually struggled to keep up with new ideas and would just make sequel after sequel, and then eventually, after the sequels weren't working, they made like Wish.com ripoffs of the same movies, which I love. And some of those movies are the ones that people talk about more often. Like they're for example, going back to Dr. Lamb, which is about a guy who's a taxi driver, killing his passengers, the females mostly. But later on, there was a movie called Taxi Hunter. And then there was a movie called Lamb in Despair later. They're just trying to capitalize on everything. They're just like, fuck it, let's just do it. Let's just keep going.
Yeah,
there's no copyright on, like, the plot, I guess. Well, there's no copyright on tenets of the plot. You know what I mean? Like, you could just take that premise and just filter it someplace else. you know, there's nothing says you can't copy it.
Yeah, the last time I was on, I think, really was when we were talking about the Chinese government just passed a law that states that they can retroactively start censoring films for future releases. That was, I believe, the last time I was on. That's another
we talked Shaw Brothers stuff. Yeah,
why I wanted to kind of talk about this, because the wheel has finally come back around and history is starting to repeat itself. It gives the chief secretary, the second most powerful figure in like the city's administration, the power to revoke a film's license if it is found to endorse, support, glorify, encourage, or incite activities that might endanger national security. How vague does that fucking sound?
Jesus.
Very vague.
So that's why companies like 88 and Massacre Video and Vinegar Syndrome are putting out these titles, and it's so fucking important. Like, you hear the director of Robotrick saying, like, finally this film is released uncut. Here you go. First time ever. Not just theatrical, like, not just first time in home video, first time ever. So, and like, a lot of that has to do with, back, like, this all happened in 1988 where films had already, like, yeah, whatever. But I don't know. I just think it's super important that these films continue, like, to be seen in their uncut form. I think, like, specifically, not just talking about the exploitation stuff, but anything that's rated, any film ever should be able to have the opportunity to be seen. And the government having this ability scares the shit out of me as a film fan and a film preservation person.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it even goes back to, oh goodness, I mean, even back to pre-World War II, or even kind of, let's say, Nazi Germany in the 30s, where they would get rid of any films from pre that time that they just didn't like. I think of, like, Grand Illusion, which was lost for a long time because it's an anti-war film. It's an anti-war German film, and they didn't want any of that around when they were trying to push the whole war agenda in 1930s and Nazi Germany and stuff like that. And how many films, like you were saying, were changed when they didn't have to be changed. In a world where it didn't have that censorship.
Just because someone thought the other person wasn't going to like it.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you make that decision?
Yeah,
imagine that's fascism to its core. It's like one person or a group of people making decisions for millions without really any type of reasoning other than they want to do it.
Yeah, something that
they can make up whatever BS they want.
Something that most iconic Category 3 film, I think, in my opinion, is the first, which is Men Behind the Sun, which very honestly shows what was going on during, Chinese people were being tested on, and they weren't good experiments, speaking of, and having a film that realistically kind of portrays that is insane, and it's been impossible to see, and there's a reason it's been taking so long to come out from Massacre Video. Like, they have to deal with the Chinese government in order to get this film done, and they're not making it easy, because why the fuck would they want this film out there? So like, there's a lot going on with this kind of stuff, and the fact that these films get released at all uncut is great. But I guarantee it's not from lack of trying on all of these labels' fronts. And you'll notice that the UK labels are the ones that are getting the most when it comes to it. And that might be because of the relationship between Hong Kong and the UK. I know when I started working with David and I got very comfortable pitching films and things, I was like, we should do some more Hong Kong stuff. We should do some Hong Kong stuff. And he literally was like, wish we could, man. Wish we could. So anyway, like, I thought, with that in mind, we should talk about some ones that currently exist in a wish list for future ones, to see if they could ever get a release. Like, there are certain ones that I would love to see get a Blu-ray release.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could probably speak to some ones that haven't really gotten one yet, but I can we can discuss maybe some ones that me and Andrew, and then you've seen way more of these than we have.
Yeah, obviously. And also there's some that I was just looking at, just random lists. Some that have got Blu-ray releases recently as recently as like the last year or two.
Well, one that he just brought up, The Seventh Curse, just recently got an 88 Films. I actually have it right here. Yeah, and it's fucking awesome. It's kind of like a martial arts Indiana Jones movie.
It's so good.
It's so good. Yeah. Dude, there's literally a fight at the end between two creatures that is like the closest you're going to get to like a live action Yu-Gi-Oh movie or something. But like carnage. Like it's amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. Riki-Oh is another one that's amazing that I can't recommend enough. It's just a Japanese manga.
Yeah.
Come to life.
Right.
It's one of the most violent films I've ever seen.
He punches through literally everybody in this movie. Yeah. He's just punching his way through the fucking movie. There's a scene where a guy is fighting him, and then he decides that he's just going to cut his stomach open and rip out his own intestines to choke him and Riki-Oh with it, and it's just shit like that. He fights basically the Incredible Hulk at the end, and it's amazing too.
Kind of deserved it.
He did, but it's yeah, it's just good stuff. But not all of the stuff that I've seen is as exploitative as them movies.
I was gonna say there are two films that
there's
just came
some that
out
are a little bit more like, for instance, Jackie Chan's Crime Story.
Yep, Crime Story. Let's talk about a different label for a second. Chameleon just came out with two great Johnny To films that were Category 3, Exiled and Election. Yep, there it is. Exiled with Category 3 Kingpin, fucking Anthony Hong doing a non-violent role and fucking killing it. Did I love the movie? No. But is it I don't know. Johnny To just isn't a filmmaker that I fully get, but I do love his unconventional relationships. That movie, Exiled, for example, is about a man who left the mob and two hitmen who are hired to kill him and two hitmen who are hired to protect him. And Johnny To is the kind of filmmaker who made it totally rational that all five of those dudes are best fucking friends and they're having dinner with each other in the first act. I don't know. I think Johnny To is really great. That was the thing I really loved about Running Out of Time is the relationship between cat and mouse in that one. And Johnny To gets it. I don't love a lot of his cinematic choices, but that's just me. And then jumping to like Unearthed Films, who's fucking kicking ass, getting these uncut films out there, The Untold Story. That Blu-ray is fantastic, and it came with an amazing documentary that is called about Category 3 as a genre and talking mostly about the sex stuff. But I do wish there was a little more Hong Konger. I know this is ironic saying it as a white guy talking about it. I wish there were less white guys talking about Category 3 in that documentary. But there's some really cool information in there. That was actually the showcase of the Off-Screen Film Festival. They had these great people talk, and then they stayed and watched the documentary. That Untold Story, and they did Dr. Lamb. And then, I mean, I'd be a fool if I didn't talk about the amazing and absolutely outrageous to the point where it is fucking hilarious, the Ebola syndrome.
Exactly. I knew that's where you were going.
That.
Yeah.
That was one of like the early Vinegar Syndrome's title. I think we covered here on the show.
Oh my god,
or something like that.
That
movie's wild.
So good. Just Anthony just goes completely insane. I highly recommend it. And then I know there are other films coming down the line. Massacre Video, they're working their fucking ass off getting that done, and they also have another Category 3 film. I'm not sure if they mentioned it, but there is a goose fuck scene.
What?
There's a scene where a guy has sex with a goose, and it exists, and it's weird as fuck. I think they've talked about it. Cool. But I love that these films are getting releases, and just films constantly pushing the boundaries to try to offend you as much as possible. And I love that. I love that perversive cinema and just
that's
weird
literally
shit.
all you watch all the time, isn't it?
I mean, I watch Rain Man. Sure, why not?
Some would say that movie's offensive, but
there's what just got released? Viva Erotica just got released by one of the partner labels from Vinegar Syndrome, Canny. And the premise of the movie is a struggling director is offered the opportunity to direct a Category 3 film to revive his career.
Interesting.
And he struggles between the artistic integrity and his financial troubles of doing that.
I knew that title sounded familiar. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's another one that just got released. Lust Caution, which is the Ang Lee film from 2007, which I think just got a Blu-ray release within the last year.
It's
from
Kino.
Yeah. Kino of all people. I think I have the DVD. I can't remember if I ever upgraded, but I probably should at one point. But Ang Lee's another filmmaker that's just kind of one of my favorites.
And as Andrew brought up earlier, Happy Together from Wong Kar-wai is another
Wong Kar-wai,
another
which
big
is in
one.
the Wong Kar-wai box set.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, those films getting released, and I'm glad that is. But there are a lot of Hong Kong, like, Category 3 films that I would love to see get a Blu-ray release. I'm very, very, very fortunate living in LA. There's a theater out in Hollywood called the New Beverly Theater, New Beverly Cinema, and every Monday they do Hong Kong like exploitation films, and a lot of those are Category 3 films that I would have never seen otherwise, including The Eternal Evil of Asia. Ooh. Holy shit! There is a dude who turns into a penis and pees himself when he gets scared.
Exactly. That's what you do.
It's a fun-filled trip to Thailand that turns out to be a deadly one for 4 best friends. And apparently, I can't remember the other. There was another scholar there after Victor Fan who talked, and he's like, yeah, anyone in Hong Kong who goes to Thailand never comes back the same ever again. So there's a fun relationship between Hong Kong and Thailand to enjoy. One that I don't know. I'm sorry, jumping ahead. I apologize. Hong Kong Godfather. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Hong Kong Godfather, but it is fucking amazing. What Jackie Chan is to fists and fury, Hong Kong Godfather is to blades and violence. It is fucking insane. When I first started watching it, I thought it was going to be like a Cain and Abel kind of situation where, like, one guy like this main kingpin has 2 people he's in love with, one, and the other one's been there the whole time working hard, but very quickly it abandons that idea and just says, let's just have all of the craziest mob mentality, mob boss gangster shit, but replace all the guns with butcher knives and swords and just let people's limbs fly. Violence, there's just really fun fight scenes throughout. It's fucking great. And it has a DVD, but it does not have a Blu-ray. I would love a Blu-ray of that.
Yeah, the one I checked out on it must have been a DVD rip maybe or something. Maybe it has a Blu-ray right there, I'm not sure. But it was Dangerous Encounters of the First Kind. Have you got to check that one out?
I've not seen Dangerous Encounters of the First Kind. That is a movie that later came out. Well, no, it wasn't later, but the poster for that one, it's not related to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but they want you to think it is, where dangerous is really low, small font, and it says Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah. Yeah, I can tell you guys this movie has nothing to do with aliens.
Yeah. They want you to think it does.
Yeah, it doesn't, though. It's about just fucking crazy people, basically just adolescents that you would be scared to have at your house. Like, they just, these kids that create they have a bomb, they take it to a theater, and then this girl witnesses the bombers, and then she's a fucking sadistic, crazy person too. It's there's a scene, and this movie has a lot of animal violence in it. There's a cat that gets thrown out a window and lands on a spike. There's rats that get needles put in their head. Like, it's pretty rough. It's
not for me.
Yeah, if you're not into animal violence at all, you don't want to watch this movie. But
as much as I don't like censorship, I also appreciate that Error 444 is including animal cruelty-free versions of their films.
There you go. Yeah,
I'm with you. They also include they include both versions, so that's great.
Yeah, but that was one I checked out, and yeah, it's rough. It's got some rough scenes in it, but if you get past that stuff, it was actually a pretty exciting film. It's got a lot of characters and a lot of crazy shit going on. But anything else you want to spotlight before we wrap up?
There's a whole list of ones that I would love to see get a Blu-ray, including Dumplings, which is probably the best short and most memorable short from the Three Extremes film. That's a Category 3 more recent film that I thought I'd love to see that get a nice release. And then also one that the other scholar talked about that I'd never even fucking heard of, which is called The Suburb Murders, which it's probably never going to get a release just based on the context of the film and the current laws, where it's 2 British teens are murdered by 3 Hong Kongers. And it's like a romantic film gone completely wrong. It's super low budget, super indie from what I heard. I can't even find anything for it online. And I just, when he was explaining it, I was like, fuck, that sounds so like... that's a dude taking the current law and telling it to go fuck itself. And I would love to, like, I hope one day that it gets a release.
Yeah. So when it comes to the physical media releases of Category 3 films, how complete are you with what's out there?
Oh, do you own every rated R film of all fucking time? Dude,
of course.
I try. It's a long list, and I'm very happy to say that I own a lot of the ones. And I'm usually, if it has the Category 3 logo on it, I at least know that I should like give it a shot, because that's someone who's trying to push the boundaries, trying to, do what they want to do with their films, and I gotta respect that nonetheless.
Yeah. All right. Well, Andrew Furtado, thanks for bringing that all to me, because I like I said, I vaguely had heard about Category 3, but you brought a lot of good history information and enthusiasm to this, and I'm definitely going to keep. The funny thing is I owned some Category 3 films and, of course, didn't even realize it, so it was like, now I'm definitely going to pay attention more and keep. There's a few other ones I'm definitely going to probably go pick up. Like I said, 88 Films has got a few of them. And you brought up a couple other ones.
I highly recommend people go to the Offscreen Film Festival YouTube channel and just check out that conversation. It's so fucking cool. It's an hour and a half, and it's well worth your time. I'm so glad that they uploaded that, because what the fuck am I going to go to Brussels? So it's I highly recommend it for anyone who's interested in this kind of stuff. And if anyone wants to talk to me about Hong Kong films or anything like that, I'm always around on Twitter, or listen to me on the Severin Films podcast. One day, who knows, maybe I will talk about a Hong Kong film on that. That's not like a
real teaser.
Teaser. That's just a hope.
Okay. All right.
I do have one question for Andrew Furtado. Is the Category 3 rating still used?
The rating system is still active, yes.
So they still give Category 3s to films that come out now?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. There's tons coming out now. But the golden age of Category 3, like Hong Kong cinema, was the 80s and 90s. So that's why those are the ones that people tend to like idolize and like laud after.
And I think I read they also give those ratings to films that are not Chinese films, not Hong Kong films. Do they also give that like Category 3 rating to a U.S. film?
I'm not 100% sure how that goes.
Okay. I didn't know because I know they have, there's some films in China that they won't, that they just won't show. They, U.S. films and whatnot, because I know China's a massive, huge market in terms of international cinema and stuff. It's just like that, like that's especially when it comes to box office and financial success of movies. You want your movies to open up here, and China seem to be the 2 biggest markets.
But yeah, go back and watch. What was that giant mega? What was that Mega Shark movie that came out a couple years ago with Jason Statham?
Oh yeah, the Meg.
Yeah, the Meg. And notice just how heavy-handed some of the Hong Kong and Chinese influences are in that film, and let you guess where that money came in.
That happened in Steven, one of the Transformers movies. I want to say, was it one of the ones with Mark Wahlberg where they purposely shot like in China, and it was just like just because so they could have that market. Like they purposely shot scenes in China and had Chinese actors in the movie just to cater to that market, so that when it opened internationally, it would be a big hit there, and they could make tons of money. And I guess that was what they did. I mean, That is what it is. It was one of the last two.
You're asking. I don't know why you were looking to me because I've forgotten about the movies a long time ago.
I felt like you would know.
Yeah, I'm not a super Transformers fan or anything.
Dude,
but
looking at my shelf.
Tell that to the giant Autobot in the background there.
God damn it! Shut up, man! Jesus Christ! Why are you giving away shit? But Andrew Furtado, once again, thank you for joining us to talk movies and announcements, and of course, Severin. They got their sale coming up soon,
and it is going to be a jobber knocker. I don't know what a jobber knocker
I felt like we were at a monster truck show for
I was going to say Juggernaut and Slobber Knocker, and it came out Jobber Knocker.
That's going to be your new name. That's going to have to be your new intro every time you come back. It's the me, the Jobber Knocker. But thanks, man. We appreciate you coming back and talking with us.
You guys for having me on.
Oh yeah, of course, anytime. And anytime you want, if there's a subject you want to cover, we'll bring you back and try to keep up with you. Because you just got so much running out of you all the time.
Again, sorry, I ran through that. I was practicing it for a couple of days.
I was looking in the mirror with my note cards and I was practicing for the last couple of days.
I ended up going like Joe Bluth in the production meeting, pitching all those things to Sam Stitwell. That's right. I pulled out an Arrested Development reference.
Nice reference.
But get off of here, man. Go take care of the kid.
Thank you, guys.
And, so, Andrew Furtado, where can you be found?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Andrew Furtado and Instagram, same. But honestly, man, just hit me up on Twitter. That's usually where I'm the most active. And I'm always doing once a month. We'll do the podcast for the Severin Films announcements, and there will be more Severin sellers to come for anyone who likes those on our YouTube channel. And obviously, fucking watch the movies, man.
Fucking watch them.
Just watch them.
Do it.
Watch them. Andrew 1, where can you be found?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Kevzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels.
And you can find me on Facebook at Stephen Billings. And you can also find me at the other Chasing Labels pages, whether it be our Twitter, Instagram, or our Facebook group, Chasing Labels Podcast, Film Collectors Podcast on Facebook. You can also find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening, and hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.